Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. We're back out here at Giga-Texas, and some pretty exciting things are going on here at the factory today. First thing I want to talk about is the state of construction, specifically in the three major construction sites that are going on here at Giga-Texas. The first is over on the far southwest side, that test track. Today we saw a lot of deliveries of steel corrugated pipe, which is used for underground water management systems. Looks like they're getting ready to install some of that around the track, maybe to help with the drainage, and that might delay some of the paving work that I've been expecting for a little while. So definitely something to watch as that develops. Big changes over on the east side. This is where they are preparing for that advanced technology chip fabrication facility. And what we are seeing is more of the work on the south side for what's probably a very large water detention pond, maybe an extension of one of the roads, and of course preparing that section throughout that entire east area for that construction. What biggest things that we're seeing is much of the materials, many of the trailers, a lot of the equipment, vehicles have been moved away and are in the process of continuing to move away to prepare for having the space for that construction. Also, the tree line that used to be there that is kind of in the way of where the factory is going to be built has been completely removed. We also see that the fueling station that's used for all of the contractor vehicles around Giga-Texas is in the process of being relocated to the northeast side of the battery cathode plant. And again, this is all going to have to happen for them to be able to construct that new facility and have the space for all of the earthwork equipment and construction equipment for that. So it's great to see. On the far north side, man, that new foundation is really starting to shape up. As you can tell by some of these video clips, not only have they worked on the grade, but now they are excavating in that middle section, kind of looks like a large plus sign, and now they are excavating down almost about 2 to 3 meters, it looks like to me. And in addition to that, more of the geopiers are underway for the foundations and the footings. And one of the most important things for the footings, of course, is the rebar cages, and we are seeing those being assembled now for the first time. So for those that still had some doubts whether or not this was an actual construction site, I think this should once and for all answer those questions. So we're going to start seeing footing excavation very soon. Another thing that I want to talk about that is very exciting here is that some sort of change has happened with the production of Cybercabs. And not only are they doing those engineering versions with the steering wheels that we've been seeing for a while and used around the country for testing, but I can now confirm, and you can see with this video clip and a few of the stills, that Cybercabs without steering wheels, the production versions, are now being built and being stored over in the outbound lot temporarily. Now, this is the beginning of that. I really do expect to see a lot more of that on Monday. It also happens to be the 20th of April, which is 420. I think that is very significant. So we're going to watch this, but it's really great news. The last thing that I want to talk about briefly is that next week on Wednesday, the 22nd, is the first quarter financial results meeting. It'll be held here at Giga-Texas again. And I know everybody's going to be watching that mostly because we want to find out a little bit more about robotaxis, Cybercabs, Cybertrucks, and of course, what is the status with full self-driving. So make sure you have that on your calendar and look forward to that next Wednesday. So without further ado, let's go fly around and take a look at some of the big, significant, and very exciting changes that are going on here at Giga-Texas.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. What a beautiful morning with the sun trying to come up behind a low cloud deck, but we're going to get a great chance to see many interesting things around the site today. So we're starting off on the west side, looking back to the main factory. The outbound lot end of line is directly in the middle of the screen. We're going to come back to that here momentarily, but you can tell there are a lot of vehicles in that parking lot getting ready to be transported over the weekend. At the west staging yard that is coming into view here, a few things that are of note. One is on the right hand side where you see that dirt road. At some point they may have a road going through here, but the plans may have changed because of the test track that you can see in the upper right of the screen. Also, in the middle of the screen is more of those transformers. I have been seeing ones or twos on trucks coming and going from the site. Not sure exactly what is going on with that, but I am continuing to watch that. We see an active workshop at the bottom right of the screen that's relatively new. Materials and superchargers coming into view here at the supercharger workshop. You can also see the light posts at the center bottom of the screen. I think those are going to be used for the parking lot for the test track. So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude. I'm going to fly around the track just to show you that there is some activity that is happening, specifically with the delivery of some steel corrugated pipes, which you can see in the left-hand upper part of the screen. Also, the track itself looks like it's almost completely dried out, just a few small standing water areas. I think that's a good sign for potential asphalt. However, I think that we're going to get some more thunderstorms over the weekend. So we'll have to see how this is coming together and when they will be able to start doing that asphalt work. You can also tell that the chicanes still need to have some additional work because that area is quite moist right now. But a great view looking across the track back to the main factory so you can get an idea of where exactly we are located. I will bring the drone down lower. We'll fly over this sort of smaller oval track with those chicanes and where they're putting the steel corrugated pipes. And I'll give you a quick look here closer in at what this material looks like. This is normally used for underground water management systems. We've seen some of this all over around the main factory, much larger pipes in this, but definitely something to watch for. There's also a pile of gravel that has been delivered here. On the right-hand side of the screen coming into view is that parking spot and the risers for the conduit, where I think that we're going to see some of those light posts that we talked about over by the supercharger workshop. But here's a higher altitude view of the work that is going on and how it is looking here today. So I'm going to pan across the west warehouse on wheels. Of course, see the end of line and outbound lot again. And a quick look at the main factory with the sun coming up on the east, breaking through the clouds on the right-hand side of the screen. I'll bring the drone back down. We'll fly towards the outbound lot because there is a lot to show you today. As I arrived at the Cyber Tunnel, I noticed a Cybercab was driving on the road. So I thought I would chase it down first, and we'll begin our view of all the vehicles here with this Cybercab. And it is headed over to the superchargers for charging. I've had a lot of people ask about the inductive charging. Where is that and what is going on with that? I think that for a while we're just going to see Cybercabs that supercharge with the port in the rear bumper, and I'm not sure when we're going to see the inductive charging, but we'll wait and see what Tesla tells us about that. Now, there was a single Cybercab amongst the vehicles here on the right hand side of the screen, but I passed by that just to show you this grouping of about 10. These are still the engineering ones with the steering wheel. You can tell that with the lighting and kind of shadowed over the seats. But I did notice this group of 14, and these are different. These are actually the much closer to production models. They are also all without steering wheels, and they have the stickers on the doors that has kind of been synonymous with the engineering ones. Not sure if that's for some initial testing maybe, or if it's just for camouflage or what, but as I maneuver around, you can get a better view of how these look. And if we look through the window, which I can do here with the lighting, And a bigger close-in view, you can clearly see there are no steering wheels in this group of 14. And a few other changes that maybe you might notice with these vehicles. Yeah, it's really great to see that there are 14 of these now in the outbound lot, not being sent to crash testing and not just being driven around, but they're here in the outbound lot, kind of segregated away from the rest of where we've seen the engineering ones. So maybe that's going to be telling us something. And also to look for next week when Monday is the 20th of April, 4/20, so maybe we'll see a lot more coming out of the factory. These three are the last that are remaining of this group of engineering test versions of the Cybercabs. I'll bring the drone down so you can look through the window here. You can clearly see that on these three there are steering wheels. I've mentioned this before, there is a parallel line inside the factory. One of them is used to build the engineering versions with the steering wheel, like this one here. And those are used for testing and new markets and preparing for the robotaxi fleet all over the country. And then, of course, the ones without steering wheels are the ones that are going to be used for passengers and part of the robotaxi fleet. So that will continue for quite some time, but the ones without the steering wheels is a significant change. All of these vehicles are lined up ready for direct delivery. You can see the new canvas covering. And I have seen that customers are now taking deliveries of their vehicles underneath that canvas covering, that shade structure, which is great to see. Of course, the old version of the Semi is still being used periodically around the site and getting supercharged here today. And a nice view of the north end of the end of line, how it's set up for direct delivery and the vehicles coming in for processing. So I'm going to bring the drone up. We'll get ready to go over the highway and we'll take a look at what's going on at the main factory. Passing by the flagpoles, I wanted to stop here briefly just to check on what's going on with production. It's a Friday, so I know production is going on here today. You can see the ramp and the open door for the Model Ys, but nothing coming out. And interestingly enough, they still have the red lights on the west main entrance structure. That usually happens only at night and is turned off when the sun comes up, so they're a little bit late today. I'm going to fly up over the roof to the east side because there's a few things that I want to show you what's going on the east side of the main factory. First, of course, the cooling unit for Cortex 1 is in operation today. Next to that is the gantry crane, the SPMT, and the left-hand side of the screen, the workshop with all the plastic wrap and more of the materials that are being delivered here, installed into the stamping machine area of the factory. See some recycle bins at the bottom of the screen, and this is the location where the Cybercabs exit the factory. We can see that the worker is getting in both of them and doing some checks. Hard to tell for sure, but I believe that these also do not have steering wheels. There's a third one over by the Cybertruck. That one's been there for a little bit of time, but the other two, I'm pretty sure that those also do not have steering wheels. And maybe next week, maybe starting on Monday even, we'll be seeing a lot more of the Cybercabs coming out of that black door and getting ready to head over to the outbound lot. So we're really close to kind of a major milestone here for Giga-Texas and Tesla. The 4 chillers and all of the pipes and other items for the thermoplastic injection molding looks like that is in great shape now. So hopefully that will also be supporting the production as that ramps up. And as we pass by the secondary main entrance and some of the receiving doors, we're going to pass over towards the melt center. A lot of the castings on the ground for the Model Ys in those racking systems. And on the upper right, the northeast side of the building is the Cybertruck castings. I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it one more time, that the new process for the Cybercab line brings the castings for those vehicles through the 3rd floor of the building all the way over to the production line for the Cybercab. So we will not be seeing very many of those on the outside of the building. As we get over to the testing and calibration lot, we can see that some of the inventory continues to change here, and it's somewhat thinned out from what we've seen before. At the helicopter pad, we can see the wind tunnel on the left, the old Rainmaker on the right, and I think eventually we'll see that disassembled. Of course, this is the material staging yard. Some new containers and trailers have been brought over here, as you can tell as we're flying over, and I think that's to help further clear out everything on the east side, which we will be seeing a lot of here momentarily, and that's for the construction of that advanced technology fab building. The bottom of the screen is more preparation of work for pipes. Some of them are the blue water pipes, some of them are irrigation pipes, and it's preparing this intersection here with Robotic Avenue, which continues farther to the right to connect into River Road. Of course, around by the tree line is where River Road is being extended. We can see that geotextile membranes are being added into the southernmost lane today, and some dirt is filling up over them. I'll give you a closer view of that in a moment. We also see the water detention pond and the looks like the wall structure around this pond. We can even see what looks to be a squared off corner, and that continuing where the Cybertruck is driving. And if this is going to be a giant water detention pond, it differs from the rendering, which I will show you here momentarily. But at the bottom left, you can see more of that geotextile membrane as they are building out the road surface. We have some of the concrete vaults have been delivered here on the berm next to where they're building that retaining wall, and a great shape of the water pond is starting to emerge. I'm going to pull back here, get to this vantage point. We'll fade in the rendering of the Tesla XAI and SpaceX building. On the left, you can see that pond and the road that extends over to the multi-level parking garage. This does look different than what we're seeing on the ground, so it'll be interesting to find out how much has changed. As I zoom back, you can get a better idea of where all that is located and what it looks like here today. Of course, everything that you see coming into view, it needs to be moved for that construction site, and that is happening. Now, the workshops at the bottom of the screen are still being used to fabricate pipes for Cortex 2. Those may be one of the last to move, but as we follow along the River Road extension, I'm going to point out to you all of the changes that are underway and much of the materials, trailers, vehicles, and equipment that has already been moved. And I'll show you also where some of that is actually headed. Now, at the bottom or center of the screen, they are removing this large pile of dirt and loading it up on trucks. And I think this is being used for that River Road extension on the south side. And this will eventually have to be all flattened out. Now, near there, you can see some steel items, but the trailers that used to be right in the center of the screen and near where that tree is, those are all mostly gone, plus all of the supporting equipment and materials that used to be there as well. This large hill continues to be removed. It's significantly smaller than it ever has been, at least since the construction began a long time ago for Giga-Texas. The old concrete truck maintenance shop is pretty much all gone. They're still doing reclamation work of the potentially contaminated soil, and the structure on the left next to the trees, and probably the trees themselves, will eventually have to be removed soon. As we look across this old hill back to the south, you can tell how much cleared out much of the materials, the trailers, all of the other vehicles and equipment that used to be here. As I maneuver around towards the center, you can see more has been removed and relocated. On the right-hand side of the screen, there used to be a diesel fuel stop for all the contractor vehicles. That is now gone, and I will show you that later where that is being relocated. And the tree line here has been pretty much completely removed. The tree debris is being taken up to the far northeast for mulching and getting rid of it from the site. You can also tell many of the vehicles, the trailers, everything here is in the process of being removed away, so this is much clearer as well. And as we get over the tree, we can see the new trailers at the bottom of the screen, the crash test dummy lab that's new with some of the excavation work around it. The pond at the base of the south end of the crash test facility is full with water, which suggests that they're doing testing right now. And we continue to go to the north around the black fence of the crash test facility. You'll see that they're
remains some of the Cybercabs on the right-hand side, and of course the refreshed semi-truck, which has not moved since it arrived several weeks ago. I'm going to pan back to the east and show you the work that is being done to prepare this section for River Road's extension through this location. They've been bringing a lot of the fill dirt in. As you can tell, there's a large flat area now that will support that road. Looks like there will be a pond on the left and then the berm work down to the right over where the tree line is. They continue to bring in dirt here in this section. They're flattening it out, plus removing this pond. They put a lot of geotextile membranes in the ground here, plus fill dirt. And that is a combination to strengthen the soil and prepare for good drainage and also for that construction. The clearing work has continued all the way up to this part of the tree line. And as you can tell, it bends towards the north and goes through the trees here. We're going to see this being widened at some point and then exiting into the Lone Tree Field. Now, right now, Lone Tree Field looks like it's been kind of bifurcated into two parts. The middle part is where we are seeing some equipment being stored. Also, a diesel red tank for refilling, and that's one of the two locations that they're taking the refilling stops that used to be on the east side. Here on the north is where they are doing the mulching and removal of the tree debris. Some of this has been here for a while. Some of it is being brought up from that east side, as we talked about, and some of it is also where they're extending River Road through that tree line. So now the big thing I want to kind of show is this large construction site for the North Campus. This will be the Optimus factory. There is a lot of detail work going on today and a lot of change. So I thought I would start at the higher altitude and looking back to the main factory so you have a great idea of where this is located. Then I'm going to bring the drone back down. Now we see on the right-hand side of the screen road and preparation for probably material staging and equipment storage on the right. We see the diamond shape of the foundation here on the north and a lot of the gravel being laid down. And in the middle of the screen, we can see the geopiers that are hard at work. And I'll kind of zoom in and pan the drone up. Also, where that kind of plus indication or marking used to be in the middle of the foundation, now it's being heavily excavated. In the intro, I said 2 to 3 meters. Now that I look at it again, it may be like 4 to 5 meters that they are digging down. And this is also being surrounded where the geopiers are putting in those piers into the ground to support the footings. Now, for footings to be constructed, we need to have rebar cages. And that is now happening for the very first time. And as I zoom out, I'll give you the overview of how this site is kind of transforming and the work of the geopiers, the excavation, and everything else to prepare for this foundation. And then we'll get closer to where the rebar has been brought in and is being fashioned by the crews into these rebar cages. This gives you a good sense of scale for each of the footings. And these footings are going to be holding up the beams that will support the structure. And this is a great sign that construction is really moving quickly here. And who knows, maybe by the time we get at the end of June, at the pace that they're going, we're going to start seeing some vertical construction. But definitely have to keep monitoring that. At the south side of this, the foundation, more of the excavation work, as you can tell. And with the equipment, you can get a good sense of how deep they are, in fact, going. So this is a very interesting foundation that is being constructed. And I'm kind of curious to see how this all comes together. As I pull away, this shows you more of the entire foundation here on the south side. Of course, the dirt road and the tree line to the south with other dirt roads going into the trees and the hills and the valleys underneath the drone. I'm going to keep watching that because I suspect that we may see additional construction in this area in the future. Over at the concrete crushing and recycling yard, you can tell that they are crushing more of that concrete as this hill is growing much higher. The conveyor is operational, so is the equipment taking that broken up old debris and crushing it down. They also have that gigantic mound next to the white truck of the rebar that they are recycling. As we continue to fly over this debris field, you can get a good sense of how much it is clearing out. We also see that this new clearing is where they are putting that diesel fuel system, and this is where all the contractor vehicles come to get topped off during the workday. Also, this new staging yard on the right with many of the containers is right next to the cell test lab and all of the transformers waiting to be installed at Cortex 2. As I fly around the north end of the battery cathode plant, get a good look at the kind of infield between the battery cathode plant and Cortex 2 and all the work that is underway here. And there are some big changes that I would like to talk about. First, at the bottom of the screen, more of the materials being stored in this new material staging yard. This is part of redistributing all of the equipment from the east side all over the site to prepare for that construction of the advanced technology fab. We also see more equipment here at the bottom of the screen that has been used mostly with the battery cathode plant, but it looks like other equipment has been brought in now. The cooling unit that serves both the battery cathode plant and the die shop seems to be operational today, and more equipment at the north end of the die shop waiting for installation inside. Also some new containers. The workshop at the bottom of the screen continues to be busy with fabricating things that is needed for the construction site. And of course, part 2 of the Cortex 2 chiller unit, the superstructure with the fiber reinforced polymer beams is really coming together. All 6 of the bays now have the structure that reaches up to about the same level. You can see that the crews are using some of these kind of planks in the middle so that they can do more assembly. Also some of the pipes with the big holes in them. And I'll look down here so you can get a better idea of what the first 2 bays look like now, and there's also the wall decking on the south side. As I pan the drone back up, we can just remind ourselves how that will look with this part 1 of the cooling system, and for the very first time we can see 2 of the fans operating at the same time, and looks like some steam or vapors coming up out of the fan units. So that is a very good sign that these are in operation and maybe supporting some computer testing in the inside, maybe initial. The bottom of the screen, we can also see that some of the temporary chillers are also in operation with the fans working. So this is still consistent with the idea of Cortex 2 being at initial operating capability at a low level, but still initial operating capability here in this month. The south end, we still see some of the dirt work and this what looks like maybe a pond, but the thing that caught my eye here are these delivery trucks. They are marked with Cannonball Run, I believe, and I'm not sure exactly what those are for, but it's the first time I've seen vehicles like that here at the south end. Of course, a good view of the pipe work and going over to that temporary chiller unit that is all assembled next to the die shop. The Megapack installation is continuing, and we'll get a closer view of what they're working on the north side. I did notice more of the asphalt has been brought here and it's being worked along this new road. So by the time I get back on Monday, we'll probably see another section of asphalt road. This is being used to help with access up to the switch yard and also the concrete batch plant, because there's some additional work being done next to the west side of the switch yard. Here's a close-in view of the work that is underway here, preparing the platforms and installing some of the transformers, electrical equipment, the gantry next to the wall for the cable trays and cables. And there's also steel beams that have been delivered that are probably going to be put on those lower screw-type piers to support the Megapacks when they arrive. Also, a lot more equipment here on the north end. Looks like maybe some scaffolding has been delivered as well next to that white truck and some of those containers. As I pan the drone up, this is a great view along the west side of how all of the Megapack site is coming along, and of course the main factory in the background. Going to maneuver ourselves over to take a look at what's going on with the electrical switch yard. And there is a little bit of work going on here on the north side with the A-frames, some of the equipment, and the superstructure. Of course, the south side, most of the work has been on this third transformer, which looks to be almost completed as far as its assembly. Some additional work for connections being done just to the south of that transformer. And finally, more of those new trailers that is part of that relocation of equipment and trailers from the east side. And this staging yard is growing more and more with a lot of the equipment and parts necessary for the Cortex 2 and the chiller system of that facility. So as I mentioned, a lot of the east side's being cleared out and much of the materials are being moved all over the place. So I thought I would wrap up this video by coming up to a much higher altitude and sort of reviewing the east side one more time and putting it all together. You see the river road at the right-hand side of the screen, that large pond next to the trees, and throughout this middle section is where the new advanced technology fab will be built. As we continue to look towards the north, we can see how River Road will snake through the trees on the right to the Lone Tree Field and that large slab for the Optimus Robot factory in the top right of the screen. The middle is the Cortex 2 die shop and the battery cathode plant. Of course, the switch yard. And as I turn back to the main factory, we're looking across that east side where that advanced technology fab will be built at the bottom of the screen. And at the top left is that test track. And next to the flags is the end of line in the outbound lot. So I hope that this review shows you pretty good where everything is located, what is going on here, and also some exciting developments for Giga-Texas. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.